Hi there. Today I'm really, really lucky to introduce someone who I haven't known very long, but I've wanted to meet for ages, and that is Jax Hamilton. And she is, well, I'm going to let her introduce herself in a minute, but when I met Jax, it was probably about a month ago, and we were at a mutual friend's place. We'd gone to a little do at this friend's place. And when I met Jax, she was wearing one black shoe and one white shoe. And when I met her, I wasn't at all surprised to see her wearing something like that, because I remember when I first saw Jax was on TV when she was the countdown lady doing the Feed a Family of 4 for $15. And I always used to try and do her accent because, as you're going to hear in a minute, she's got the most beautiful London accent. And my kids and I always used to laugh about that, and it was so memorable, and we loved the way you did those ads, and so it really stuck with us. So I can't believe, fast forward 3 years, and here I am sitting in Jax's house, which you can't see, but it's covered in art, and behind us there's a fridge with the Union Jack on it. I mean, how cool is that? So I'm really, really privileged to be here today and to talk to Jax about her amazing and very interesting life and career, because if there's anyone who's had an unconventional career path, I think it's this lovely lady here. And she's no stranger to being on camera, having been in food shows and done ads, but I'm going to let Jax also introduce herself and tell us a little bit about what do you do right now? Because I kind of have a handle on it, but I don't have a great handle on it.
Yeah, you know, it's a really big life. Because what happens is with me, the phone rings and somebody will say, Jax, will you do this? And if it feels right, then I will do it. And if it doesn't feel right, I won't. So what that does, it really leads me to very different places very quickly. So for last year, for example, I had an email from a charity called One Mother to Another, and they wanted to put together a fundraising cookbook to raise funds for this amazing charity. Anyway, so they asked me for a recipe, and when the email arrived, I read it and I thought, I really like this charity.
Wow.
I'm going to give them more than a recipe. Didn't know what I was going to give them. So then I called the founder, a lady called Christina Buckland, and I said, hi, it's Jax. And she was like, what the hell's going on? Oh my goodness. And I went, I really like you and I really like your email. Can we have coffee? So she said, oh, okay. So I met with Christina and Joy at Black Betty's in Christchurch.
Oh, yeah.
And they were telling me about what they wanted to do. And so what One Mother to Another does is they create goodie bags for mothers whose children have been taken to the hospital for diagnosis.
Yeah.
So it's got tea bags in it and moisturising lotion and a phone charger, because often what happens is it's very, very quickly you're at the doctors and they go, you need to go straight to the hospital, it could be meningitis. So anyway, so we're having this coffee and I said to them, have you ever done a book before? And they went, no. And I said, are you confident? And they said no. And then I said, I didn't even know I was going to say it, I said, I'm going to donate one whole year of my life to getting this book out.
Wow.
They were like, what? Because they only asked for recipes. So things like that happen. And and they create a whole different kind of avenue. Like if you're a tree, that becomes a branch. It becomes a very strong branch of that your life, your tree life. You know, it's and I always chase the passion. I don't chase the purse. That's what I do.
So you'll go with your gut, see what feels good, take an opportunity, make something of it. Yeah. And from there, who knows where it leads, but it seems to lead somewhere good.
Yeah, because I think I'm always very controlled in my decision-making process, and I always engage my my instinct, because there's so many eons in there that are shooting more in my brain. My brain's more like a policeman. My stomach is actually the excited adventurer. So
I love it.
Yeah. So I kind of go, ooh. If someone asks me to do something, I'll say, can I get back to you? Yeah. And then I'll go and kind of sit in it and think, shall I do it or not?
Yeah, so you're thinking about your decision from a lot of different perspectives and kind of drawing on the emotional gut feeling side and also the more rational, running it through perhaps a set of filters, whatever they are.
Yeah.
But lots of opportunities have obviously presented themselves to you or you've created. I mean, so most of the people listening to this probably know you as a chef.
Yeah, I wouldn't call myself a chef. I suppose I wouldn't call myself a chef because chefs are qualified individuals who have gone through the technical and theoretical process. You know, I went on a reality TV show called MasterChef and I did very, very well. So I call myself a bloody good cook. Like I'm really good with food.
And for the eater, really, what's the difference? Do they enjoy it? Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I call myself a pantry alchemist, really. I cook to my emotions. Right. I listen to music to my emotions. Yeah. If I go out into my garden and there's an abundance of tomatoes, I'll make a tomato soup because you've got the love of it. So I suppose I'm a bloody good cook. I'm a media personality. Yeah. I'm an author. I'm a businesswoman. Above all of that, I'm a mother. Yep. And I'm a charity. I love to support charities. And I'm a keynote speaker. I'm an inspirer.
So all round good person is what I'm really hearing. And Jax and I have been sitting in her lounge probably for an hour and a half chatting before we even put this record on, because I really wanted to get to know a little bit about you and some of your philosophy on life, which I think has really informed who you are and how you have ended up where you are now in your career. But tell me, how did you get here? How did you get to, because with an accent like yours, you haven't grown up in Christchurch.
Whoa, do you know what I mean? I actually thought I sounded like a Cantabrian, innit? Yeah, it has been very unconventional. But when I think about who I am, it's actually the road.
Right.
It's the absolute perfect road for me.
Which is why I kind of, on some level, trusted that when I met you and wanted to interview you, because I think this is a really important message for younger people to hear. And the whole thing I'm trying to do with the Love Your Work workbook is help you guys tap into and identify who are you? What makes you tick? And I think this is something that this lovely lady here has made into her career, and it's from who you are deeply and radiating that out into the world and finding a way to earn money from that that enables you to keep giving of yourself and doing those things and adding on to more branches to that particular tree of who you are. But it's, I think, the thing that makes you so good at what you do is that you've really deeply owned who you are and stepped into that. Am I right? You are.
And also for me, it's really important to keep the balance. People think to be successful, you need to earn a lot of money. Mm-hmm. Earning a lot of money gives you choices, but it takes away from your passion. Mm-hmm. You know, if you are lucky enough to be able to earn a lot of money in your passion, I'd love to meet you, because it's not an easy place to be. Money is very seductive and it makes you think differently about the world. So when I was 16, I left school. I wasn't able to carry on at school because my mother didn't have any money for me to carry on at school. So I went out looking for work and I was offered 2 jobs. And this really is the foundation of my career. I was offered 2 jobs. One was working for an oil company, earning thousands and thousands of pounds a year. And the other one was working for the music business, earning like a cashew nut a month.
Can I guess which one you took?
Yeah. So, guess which one I took?
I think you went to music.
I went to music. My mum, everyone was like, what are you doing? And I was like, I love music. So, weirdly, I became the office junior for... It was Polygram Classic. I became the office junior for the most popular classical labels ever, Deutsche Grammophon and Philips.
Wow.
And it was such an amazing world to immerse myself into it, and I learned so much about myself and about people trusting me. So it became the real anchor of how I made choices in my life. Yeah. Because I got so much from it, and I knew that I was never going to be the girl in the bank or the girl in an insurance company or the girl... Not that there's anything wrong with those jobs, but I need to be fulfilled in my creativity. Yeah. I need to be fulfilled in my personal development, and I need to know that my particular strengths are being utilised. Yeah. I am OCD when it comes to logistics. I'm really shit when it comes to statistics. So I know that, and that's, I suppose, you know, if I consider myself a pantry and I have lots of different ingredients in me, I found my salt really early.
Right.
It was to follow my passion.
Yeah, so
and that's what sprinkles over everything.
It's not where you are now. Obviously, you've made a whole lot of different choices since the music industry. But even back then, you were tuning into something that was really important for you and a passion of yours. So even then, you said yes to your heart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely, because I never got that sort of conditioning from my mother and my father. They weren't the kind of hands-on. They couldn't grow us in that way. So I had to find that myself, which luckily for me, I found very early. My brothers and sisters have not been so fortunate. So for me, I was always a little bit different, a little bit out there. I'd always say what I wanted to say because I thought, well, I might as well, because this is the only one time. So I started that job. I did that job for 2 years. And then after 2 years, I was headhunted by another record company called WEA, which was in Soho in London, Warner Electra Atlanta. And I became the first press officer for Simply Red.
Really?
Yeah.
I used to love Simply Red.
Yeah, Simply Red, Everything But the Girl, Echo and the Bunnymen, Matt Bianco.
Way.
Yeah.
I used to listen to all of them.
Yeah. So that was me. For 2 years in that. So there was... And I met, Madonna. I danced with George Michael at Prince's party. I met Rod Stewart tied up his shoelaces. I met Cher snogging Rob Dickens in the lift. I met all these people in my life, and I know that, if I look back at the timeline of my jobs and stuff, if I had taken that job for the money,
the oil one,
I would have been a very different person.
Yes. So that your true self in some way would probably never... It either would have just... One day you would have just stood up and done that kind of thing that they do in movies sometimes, like, I want to break free. You would have had a Freddie Mercury moment.
Oh, probably. Well, that would be nice.
Or you would have just carried on being that, and maybe your true self would never have revealed itself. And what a more dull world that would be.
Well, mate, yeah, I do think so. I think for me, in me, there's a light that's shining and burning always.
Yeah, I feel it.
And often I think, I'll be in situations where my light will be burning brighter. Like when I'm with you, we both kind of ignite each other. Or I'm in places where it kind of dulls down and I think, this isn't good for me. I instinctively know when things are not right. And luckily for me, I always had, I suppose because I didn't have that strong conditioning from my family, I was able to establish my own very early.
Yeah, what a fantastic thing to share with anybody who's listening to this or watching this, because I think that you're right. You may have said, well, I didn't get that great conditioning from my parents or that strong conditioning from my parents, so therefore I'm going to just go along and dim my light and go through life. But you took the opposite approach and went, well, no one else is doing it for me. I think I've got to learn how to do this for myself. I think that's a really powerful message. So thank you for sharing that. I think that's really important. And it's a part of your gift is to help other people with that, I think. Yeah,
or guide them. People often ask me very, very pertinent questions. Why did you do MasterChef? Why did you do this? Why did you do that? And often when people ask me those questions, I know it's because they're in a situation where they are at a precipice that they're going to either jump off, or they're questioning why they're here and what they're doing. And if you're in that situation, it's such a prophetic thing to be able to help someone to make one decision or another. I've got friends in London who are doctors, psychologists, all of these things, and a few of them aren't happy because they were told that's what they needed to be because maybe their parents were doctors or that was the family way. But actually within them, one of my friends is always wanting to be a ballet dancer, and she was told she had to be a lawyer, and she never liked it. She never liked it. She worked in all these different places, all these different countries, and she absolutely hated it. And so she had to wait until her mother died to become what she really always wanted to be. But of course, by then she was 47. But she'd never really enjoyed any of the work that she'd ever done.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I just think that's so sad, and it just really doesn't need to be that way. But there's going to be a few brave steps to living an unconventional life, aren't there? Tell me about some of the brave steps you've taken.
Well, moving to New Zealand was a brave step. I left London, ended up in Timaru, thinking, what the hell have I done here?
So how long ago was that?
That was in 2001.
Right, okay. So,
but I needed to do that because, I had my own business in London. By then, I had my own qualitative research agency in Kensington.
Wow.
I was the third partner with 2 other people. So we had this very, very successful agency that we'd built up over 13 years. And I decided that I had my children and I wasn't seeing them. So at the time, my ex-husband said we should move to New Zealand. And I said, okay. Because even though I had a commitment to my work, I had my children. So my commitment to my children was bigger.
Yeah.
And the life in New Zealand was more in tune to what I needed for them.
How did you know that?
I didn't. Well, the fear. There's always fear. But for me, sometimes, if you think about the feelings you feel for fear and the feelings you feel for adventure, they're kind of the same.
Yeah, they are, and they're the same in your body.
Yeah.
The physiology is the same.
That's right. I couldn't carry on being, Jax Hamilton, the director of Khan Martin. I needed to do something more. I needed to be the mother. So it made sense for me to come here. It was the hardest thing. One of the hardest things I've ever done. Came here, no really cultural diversity. I'm from London, born and bred. I don't know if you can hear it in my voice, but I am. And it was very small. It was very, very small.
Especially Timaru.
Yeah, so I was in Timaru for 3 months. That was enough to see everyone wearing white gumboots. Anyway, so and then we moved to Christchurch, and Jack and Tom loved it.
Yeah,
that's enough,
And so obviously you've just said something there that I want to pick up on, which is around not a lot of diversity in Timaru back then, and probably not a lot in Christchurch either. And Christchurch has changed a lot in quite a short time, and I think it's really timely that we talk about this. But what I'd like to hear from you is, because I think I can piece this together for myself, but I'd love to hear from you, in your words, Jax, how has who you are and your personality, and perhaps the diverse flavour you've introduced us to here in Christchurch, how do you think that's helped you in your career?
Coming to New Zealand made me recognise that it's not about making a living, but it's about making a life.
Yeah.
And it put me in, my perspective became very, very different. And I re-engaged with the creative side of me. For 14, 15 years, I'd been this quite focused and ambitious career woman. And I was that because I'd never been to university. So I felt that I needed to show everyone I was just as good as them without that education.
So something to prove, maybe?
Absolutely. But it was really encased in a lot of ego, because it was my ego that made me do that and what made me want to achieve and made me not want to do all the other things, like be a family person. But, ego, it's like artificial sweetener.
Not healthy.
It's not healthy, and also the more you have of it, the worse you feel.
Right.
That's
interesting.
Yeah, you just lose yourself. So getting the opportunity to come to New Zealand really gave me the perspective and put me in context of who I was, without all the trappings of, great job, great shoes, good car, lovely big house, nanny, and all those things. You strip them all away, you're left with yourself. You have to look at that person and you have to understand who it is and how it could be. So when I came to New Zealand, I decided I didn't want to have a job with any stress, which I hadn't had for a long time. And I got a job working in the hat shop on Victoria Street.
Oh my gosh.
Remember the hat shop? Working for Tui Shaw.
You're my friend.
Yeah. Oh, she's so lovely.
Yeah, she's a really good friend.
Oh, so oh, isn't that funny? So I went with Tui and Julia, and it was the best job.
Oh, I'll have to get on the phone to
ever.
Tui as soon as we finish this.
It was like,
how funny.
I'd never worked in retail, and here was Tui, this flamboyant, beautiful person, a bit like me.
Oh my gosh.
Kindred hearts, loved music. We had such a lot of fun. I loved working there.
It must have been so different to what you'd done.
It was.
And this is why we're talking about the zigging and zagging of the career.
But what that did was it quashed all of that career in me and brought up that love. You can be at work and you can love. You can be at work and you can enjoy. You can be at work and you can find people that are kindred spirits like Tui.
Wow.
You can, all of those things can be apparent in your job. It doesn't have to be a hard, slogging thing where you make money, on the grind. It was the most beautiful job. People would come in, brides to be, mothers, grandmothers, and we'd laugh and we'd joke and, Tui would go across the road and get us some Pims, and we'd have a little Pims. It was beautiful. It was really, really lovely. So after that, I really did a 360 and decided all the jobs after that would be, I would go and interview people for the job.
Wow.
So the next job after that, I was the executive director of Dress for Success. Mm-hmm. Dress for Success is a charity for women who have no clothing. You come along to the charity and we give you clothing, and you go for your first interview, and when you get the job, you come back and you get another outfit. Yeah. So the Christchurch chapter was the first one on the South Island, and I was their first ever executive director, which I had to set up and and make sure that it was running. And I did that for 3 years, and it really the joy I got from the clients that came in, the joy I got from my volunteers, the joy I got from every day achieving something that meant something was incredible. It was the most incredible, and even the building was beautiful. We had
wow.
It was Kenton Chambers on the corner of Hereford Street and Liverpool Street, which is gone now. It was a really old building.
Just trying to remember it. I can't remember it, I don't think.
Yeah. Almost opposite Latham Square. It was just a beautiful job. I did that for 3 years. And that was a job that was really built on passion.
Right.
So the foundation of it all was me wanting to help people.
Yep.
Me wanting to give people an opportunity, me wanting to inspire them. And it was the first time I'd ever had a job like that. So coming to New Zealand really changed who I was in respect of I saw who I was first.
Yes.
As opposed to, a job that provided me with the money that I needed to buy the things that I was going to get that was not going to make me happy.
Wow, and I love what you say there as well, Jax, about bringing, I'm hearing a strong thread of bringing yourself to work, into the workplace. Like at the hat shop, was when you first mentioned that I could actually be who I was and let that out to play in that job and then connect with other people through that.
Yeah.
And so I can't even begin to imagine how cool that must have been for the clients coming through the door.
But let me tell you a little bit something about TUI. So I'd never worked in retail ever. So I thought, right, I'm going to tie something around my head. And so I walked in and I looked at TUI, this beautiful flamboyant woman. She looked at me and I had no retail experience and she knew that I was going to work. She just went, yeah, you got the job. I was like, oh! So, she believed in that in me.
She saw your personality. She saw you. She saw you.
She employed something that was going to work in her shop.
That's right.
As opposed to somebody who was qualified to work in her shop.
Yes. So I think that's a really important message as well.
Yeah, and we screamed with laughter in that shop. We had the best ever times. People would walk in there. It was just... And TUI, because she's a dancer, she used to be a dancer, so there was, there was a lot of art around what we did.
Yeah.
And she's a very creative person.
Yeah.
And I really admired that side of her too, because it taught me a lot of things also about putting hats together, putting, outfits together and all of those things. And, we would laugh. We would laugh in that shop. Because she's naughty, not like a bit like me. Yeah.
So work can be fun. Work can be a lot of fun.
Well,
it isn't always fun.
No.
But it can be a lot of fun.
But you spend 8 hours a day at work.
Yeah.
You can do.
Yeah.
That's a long time in your day.
Yeah.
To not be happy.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah, and it's a long time in a day and over the course of a lifetime it's a long time to actually put yourself, leave yourself at the door and walk in the door and not be you.
Yeah.
So I think that authenticity, flavour is something that's really served you very well and made you this memorable person, which is why sometimes you go out on the street and people know who you are and maybe want some of your energy to rub off on them.
Yeah.
Shall we say?
And that does happen. That happens quite a lot because I don't live small.
No.
I do not live small. I go out and I am...
You don't speak small either.
I don't speak small, and I always speak my truth in truth, but with kindness.
Yes, absolutely.
So if I go out and somebody makes me happy, I'll tell them. If I go out and somebody smells nice, I'll tell them. If someone is horrible to me, I'll tell them.
Yeah.
So everyone gets the consistent me, my children, everyone, my cat.
Love it.
I don't live small at all.
Yeah.
I don't see the point in that at all.
Yeah. And I think in not doing that and doing the opposite of that and just actually living in your truth and connecting with other people through that, they get the best of you and you feel good and it's created so many opportunities for you, I believe.
Yeah, it has. It really has. But it's also made me see that there are not a lot of people out there like me, so I want there to be.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I've decided to do, which really terrifies me. So I started on the keynote speaking circuit, so...
Good.
A couple of years ago, I was asked to speak at a conference for senior management teachers. So they came to me and said, will you speak? And I was like, right.
What did you talk about?
Well, they said to me, can you talk about something to do with the curriculum? And I said, no, because I don't know anything about the curriculum. So they said to me, what are you going to talk about? I said, happiness. And they were like, what?
Good.
Happiness? I was like, yeah, because I think you need to be happy if you're going to be a teacher. I don't know anything about the curriculum. I'm just going to bore you, shitless. So we went along and it was at Riccarton over, the conferencing rooms, and we had this breakfast first. So I was sitting on the table with all these principals, and one of the principals said to me, so what are you talking about today? And I went, happiness. And they were like, what? happiness.
My gosh.
I know. And I thought, I've got this wrong. I've read it wrong. Oh my gosh. So everyone was eating their breakfast and I was like,
oh, wishing you'd be struck by lightning.
talking 45 minutes.
Oh.
Anyway, so they were like, and here she is, Jax Hamilton. Woo! So I got up and I was like, oh, okay. So I did my speech. I got a standing ovation.
Wow. Tell me why.
Standing ovation.
Tell me why.
Because I was vulnerable, because I spoke truthfully.
Yeah.
I spoke about what we all want, and
Yeah.
I spoke about happiness being the underlying thing that bonds us all together and makes us do our best.
Yeah, wow. Ooh.
And I said, and it's free.
Yeah.
Right, so it was, and I went to everyone, and I said to everyone, go home and ask yourself in the mirror, are you happy? And so many women came up to me and went, do you know what, you've really touched me. You know, my eyes have had wheeze in them, you know, so that sort of stuff. And it was like, and so that's what I do. When I talk, I talk to people as a person who is vulnerable and who has also had problems. So 3 years ago, I started talking, you know, on the circuit. And this month, May, I've been invited to Fiji to talk at KPMG's annual conference.
Wow. I mean, it doesn't get much more of an unconventional trajectory than what you've done.
I'm pinging all over the place, me.
I just think you're an early adopter to this whole new lifestyle that we keep hearing about, which is, you know, young people today are going to have all sorts of career changes. So maybe you've just been an early adopter, Jax.
Well, maybe. I don't know. I've only ever just done what feels right. But I think you're right. I think that if you really consider that maybe in your lifetime you're going to have one career that's going to really fulfill you for 40 years in working, then I don't think that's realistic.
No.
Because we all have things in us that I believe that we are, before we were born, we were all signed a contract. And with that contract, you come out and you decide what it is. And then when you engage with that, you know, like the Picassos, Michelangelos, all of those people who, you know, the Winston Churchills, Socrates, all those people that engage with really who they are and provided us with something really incredible.
Yeah.
You have to know that is what you are. And when I was married for 18 years and my marriage broke down, which was awful and really sad for me and my children. And one day I watched MasterChef and I thought, I'm going to try that.
Wow.
I'm going to, from my kitchen here, which didn't look like this at the time. And as soon as I started the cooking, I knew it was what I wanted to do.
Wow. Amazing. So if you've got one message to leave these guys with, what would it be? What is, if you've got a soundbite of advice to give to a younger person, or to say back to, imagine it was you, your 17-year-old self, what would you say? What's a piece of advice you'd give about career?
I would say, be yourself, because everyone else is taken.
Oscar Wilde?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you really consider, you are a unique individual on this unique earth, and for you to be here took so much. For you, for your parents to meet, for the pregnancy to work, for you to grow up and be healthy, it takes so much. Don't waste it on someone else's dream.
Oh,
dream your own.
Awesome. Oh, thank you so much for sharing that. I think that's just absolutely genius, and I love what you've said, and thank you for giving up your time today to sit in your lovely kitchen and
eating biscuits. She's not eating any of my biscuits.
I might have a biscuit now. But thank you very much.
Thank you.